Today we're jumping into a really fascinating and, yeah, maybe a little cynical guide from the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. It's called The Art of Always Being Right. And let's be clear, this is not about finding the truth. It's about winning. But we're going to flip it on its head and treat it like a self-defense manual. We need to learn the enemy's playbook so we can spot it, shut it down, and actually have better arguments. I mean, we've all been there, right? You've got your facts lined up, your logic is solid, but you still walk away feeling defeated because the other person was just, I don't know, sneakier or louder. It is so frustrating. And that feeling, right there, that's exactly why we need to understand these tactics. It's about making sure the best ideas win, not just the loudest voice. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll get into the psychology of why we have this burning need to be right in the first place. Then we'll look at debate as a form of combat and check out the other side's playbook. We'll break down their three main weapons: emotional tricks, logical distractions, and guilt by association. And then we'll wrap it all up with a simple three-step method for your own rhetorical self-defense. So why do we get so worked up in arguments? Why is it so tough to just say, hey, that's a good point, I hadn't thought of that? Well, according to Schopenhauer, the answer is wired deep into our DNA. Schopenhauer boils it all down to this one powerful idea he calls innate vanity. It's this deep, instinctual drive to protect our own image. Most of the time, we care way more about looking right than we do about actually being right. Admitting we're wrong feels like a hit to our reputation, so we'll defend a losing position to the bitter end just to save face. I think this is the perfect way to picture it. Our beliefs aren't just random thoughts. They're like a fortress we spend our entire lives building. It's our identity. So when someone comes along and attacks one of those core ideas, it doesn't just feel like a friendly chat. No, it feels like they're trying to knock down the walls of who we are. So of course, our first instinct is to defend that fortress with everything we've got. And this is where we get to Schopenhauer's playbook. Now, he didn't write this to turn us all into dishonest debaters. He wrote it so we could see these tricks coming from a mile away. Think of it like learning to recognize enemy weapons on the battlefield of ideas. So this is a really key distinction to make. On one side, you have the Socratic method, where two people work together to find the truth. But on the other side, you have what Schopenhauer was interested in, eristic dialectic. This is a totally different game. The goal isn't truth, it's victory. The method isn't asking questions, it's using combative tricks. It's not a search for knowledge, it's a fight for who's on top. So let's get into these weapons. The first category isn't about logic at all. It's aimed squarely at your emotions. The goal here is brutally simple. If they can make you lose your cool, you've already lost the argument. This one is a total classic. If your opponent can't beat your point, they'll try to beat you by just making you mad. They want to provoke you, get you flustered, because an angry mind can't think clearly, and that's exactly what they're banking on. And here's how they do it. It's often really subtle. It's not a direct insult, but maybe just a dismissive tone, or they pointedly ignore you, or make some little snide comment. And because of that innate vanity we talked about, an attack on our ideas feels like an attack on us personally, which makes it incredibly easy to get a rise out of us. Okay, weapon number 2 is all about distraction. These are tactics designed to do one thing: get you off topic. When someone feels the tide of an argument turning against them, their best move is to try and derail the whole conversation. You see this one constantly. You're building your case, laying out your points, getting close to the finish line, and suddenly they jump in and change the subject entirely. Schopenhauer said this is a massive tell. It's the move of someone who knows they're cornered, or worse, they just have no idea what they're talking about. Now, this one is sneaky because it sounds so reasonable. You'll make a perfectly good general point, like all swans are white, and your opponent will triumphantly shout, aha, but what about the black swans in Australia? They use one single exception to try and demolish your entire general rule. But of course, an exception doesn't invalidate a rule. It just proves that it's a general one. This last weapon is maybe the most popular one in the modern world, especially online. Instead of actually dealing with your argument, your opponent will just try to discredit it by linking it to something that people already hate. See, words are never just words. They're packed with meaning. This trick is about weaponizing that meaning. For example, are you calling someone a Protestant or a heretic? Are you talking about faith or superstition? The word you choose frames the whole debate, planting a little seed of bias in everyone's mind before you even start arguing. And this one is the ultimate lazy argument. Instead of actually refuting your point, they'll just say something like, you know who else thought that? That really unpopular group over there. It's a classic move. Attack the messenger so you can ignore the message. Honestly, when someone pulls this, it's a huge red flag that they've run out of actual arguments. Okay, so we've seen the playbook, we know the dirty tricks. The big question is, what do we do about it? How do we defend ourselves without stooping to their level? And this is really the whole point. We're not learning these tricks to use them, we're learning them so we can neutralize them. There's no real victory in winning an argument dishonestly. The real power is in being able to hold your ground with integrity and keep the conversation on track. So here's your 3-step defense strategy. First, and this is the hardest part, stay emotionally detached. Don't take the bait. The moment you get angry, you've lost. Second, calmly call out the tactic. You don't need to get fancy. Just say something like, "It seems like we're getting off topic. Can we go back to the original point?" Or, "That feels more like an attack on me than on my idea." And third, immediately return to the substance. Just relentlessly, calmly steer the conversation back to the actual issue. And this is really the highest level of thinking here. When you're truly confident in your position, when you're genuinely seeking the truth, you lose that desperate need to win at all costs. You can argue from a place of strength, and these cheap tricks just bounce right off you, because your goal isn't victory, it's clarity. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. The next time you find yourself in one of those heated discussions, just pause for a second and ask yourself, what is my real goal here? Am I fighting to get closer to the truth, or am I just fighting for my own vanity? The answer might tell you a lot. Thanks for checking out this explainer.